Today, we're insulating our entire house. Let's get it. Today we are insulating our entire house. First, we measured out all of our cavities and then we ordered the insulation from Home Depot. Here are a few items you will need if you're insulating your own house: protective gear, caulk, spray foam, measuring tape, straight edge, and a knife. For our house, we will be using R19 and R38. We will use blow-in insulation in our attic. That will come at a later time once the drywall is in. But before we get started with the insulation, there's a few items we have to do first.
Job numero uno, sealing up the windows and the doors. We got great stuff. This is the Pro Series and the Pro Series gun, just to make your life a little bit easier. This is a door and window sealant, a foam sealant. We're gonna be sealing up all these on the perimeter of all the windows and all of the doors,
along with any holes open to the exterior and the back of the electrical boxes.
One of the main things when using this is that we always want to seal the gap from the window, so it doesn't have to be a lot. We just don't want that airflow, but we don't want to put a ton, because if we put a ton, this stuff expands and it can bow out the side of your windowsill.
And if it's bowed out, the window is no longer plumb, which could cause issues opening up the window.
This foam can be really, really sticky and messy. So when you are done, you gotta make sure that you clean it out, because it could jam up your gun and then you won't be able to use it.
Before we get started on the insulation, we first have to clean, get rid of all the sawdust before we can put any insulation in. So along with our brooms, we also have a brand new shop vac, which is the first gift that was purchased off of our wedding registry. So thank you to Aunt Liz and Uncle Paul. Aw, remember when we did this?
I feel like we just wrote that in there yesterday.
It was just a few months ago, so it really wasn't that long ago.
Fast. Another job that you have to do before you put the drywall up during the insulation process is caulk the sills. This is required because there might be some airflow between the boards on the floor and the wall, and this will help seal it up. So let's get to it.
Caulking the sills is relatively easy. It took us about an hour to do the whole house, but these tubes do run out fast, so make sure to buy enough. Now that we got all the prep work done, it's time to move on to the insulation.
Now it's time to get into our super suits.
Now we're ready for business.
Just a heads up, you definitely don't need a hazmat suit, but we thought it would be fun. You do need to cover your skin though, because the fiberglass can be very itchy. Wear eye protection, and you don't want to breathe it in, so that's why we have the masks. These ones are maybe a little bit overkill and it got hot, but you should definitely cover your mouth, cover your eyes, and protect your skin. Okay, we'll be adding insulation into every single cavity of this home, starting with the R19 on all the exterior walls. Then we have R38 for the cathedral ceiling, and then we'll be doing sprayed fiberglass insulation for the ceiling and the attic area.
R19 is 16 inches wide and a normal cavity is 16 inches wide. So right now I'm going around the house looking for any normal size cavity and filling it up with this. Okay, getting the easy ones first. Ones that are filled with wire, we'll do that last. You never want to push in the insulation too tight. And the reason being is that the material works by having a lot of air pockets within it, and that's what allows it to insulate the house. So never squeeze it too tight. Since you don't want to smush the insulation, you either need to cut around electrical boxes or rip the insulation to fit around wires.
I can see it right here. Cut. That's what we're gonna do for every one of those.
So we have some 16-inch cavities here in the study, but you'll notice there's some wire going through here. So we're gonna place the insulation like normal until we get to the bottom. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna rip some so that some of the fiberglass can go behind the wire instead of squeezing that wire to the wall. Wire is running through a good portion of the walls, so we'll have to rip a decent amount of insulation. While I'm going around and putting all the full R19 pieces in, Faris is following me and he's taking care of the ones that need to be cut. We used a utility knife and a straight edge to cut the insulation. We had to switch out the blades often because it's kind of tricky to cut.
Some insulation will be good on its own with just friction, but we're gonna put them all into the wall cavities and then we're gonna go around and staple them at the end.
After a long day at the house, it's time to call it quits because I'll be going in early tomorrow. Today we are officially on day 2 of putting in the insulation. Unfortunately, Faris has a video job today, so It's just gonna be me. So, let's get started. So my goal for today is to finish up this master bedroom area along with the bathroom and the closet. We've done all the big major pieces, so now there's a ton of cutting involved, and that's what I'm most nervous for because Faris was having a hard time cutting the insulation yesterday. I know I'm gonna have a hard time with it. We switched out the blade, so hopefully it's a little easier today.
In the beginning, we started cutting with the face on the top and the soft on the bottom, and that proved to be a little bit difficult. So after we flipped it over, had the soft side up with the face touching the hard ground, and that cut through a lot easier. That's just preference, I don't know, but I think it worked better.
We learned this a lot later on. So the first thing we have to do for these shorter cavities is measure them out. So we're at 13 inches and 19, which means we're gonna have to cut the insulation vertically and horizontally.
You have to rip it. For that.
First part of my goal accomplished, the master bedroom. Got into a flow, cutting was better than I thought, so overall this took me about an hour and a half, so really not that bad. And plus, I did it all by myself. Thought it'd be a good time for a lunch break. Working on our house has had me realize how many jobs and how many different opportunities there really are out there. Quick story time. Faris and I quit our marketing jobs after 5 years and then moved into a van and traveled for a year and a half. We learned all kinds of things, and now we're here in our own house, putting in our own insulation. And I'm just so grateful that we were able to take that leap and we have the opportunity to do this, and we get to do it together. We get to live in this home knowing that we put this work into our own house with our own hands. All right, lunch break's over. Time to get to the master bathroom. My sandwich was pretty big at lunch. I'm definitely moving a little slower. I am slowing down a tad bit, I'm not gonna lie. You can tell I'm getting some mask lines. It's weird because this mask, as I'm breathing, there's moisture getting in here. I don't know if you can see it, but there's like literally drips, it's kind of gross. But as I'm breathing, then it's fogging up these goggles and then I can't sleep. So 3/4 of the way done with my goal. Now we're gonna move on to the closet.
I feel like without me annoying you the whole time, you worked a lot faster on your own.
I do, you're always distracting me. Goal accomplished. We got the master bath, the master closet, and the master bedroom all insulated and completed. Now my dad's here to pick me up, inspect my insulation job.
Can you breathe in that outfit?
No. And then take me home because I need a good night's rest, and then Faris and I will be back tomorrow.
That was a long day. You put in a solid 8 hours.
I did.
Hey, that was good.
Thank you, thank you.
Good.
Day 3 of insulating, and guess who's back to join me?
This guy.
Hey,
This guy right here.
I got a lot done while you were
It looks
gone.
good. It looks good. We still have about, I think, probably like 33% of the upstairs left.
Yes.
And then we still have the full downstairs portion. Not the full basement, but the walkout
portion. So let's start in the bedrooms, then we'll make our way clockwise until we get into the kitchen and the living room.
Making sure that I get this all the way in. This is probably one of the tougher ones. Just because it has all these wires, this is where the main wires go through.
We had to split this bat in half for this wired cavity, so we'll need to staple this one in later.
Now, we don't want to hold up any other parts of this build, like the drywall, so we put in an inspection as a deadline in a couple of days, and we got to make sure that we get this insulation done by then, so we get past.
Some motivation for us.
A little motivation.
Faris.
All this insulation's really heating me up. It's a nice day outside. The insulation's warming up the house. I guess it's doing its job. It's doing its job, so I gotta take off my pants. You definitely don't have to be a genius to put in insulation, but it's pretty uncomfortable with the mask on, the goggles. I was sweaty, Still itchy, even though I had protection. At this point, I said, screw it. I'm taking off the protective layering. My arms were gonna be exposed, but it was better than sweating in a trash bag.
Bro, those legs are looking white.
Oh, long winter. All right, time to go back to work.
Okay. Ultimately, Faris got too itchy and put the hazmat suit back on, just with no pants underneath. You okay? Back to Faris.
I think I need to take off my underwear.
No. Okay, you can't take off your underwear right now because Jerry's here to help us with the soffits.
Faced is to offer a vapor barrier. It's not 100%. That's some kind of mastic or tar that prevents moisture from penetrating into the walls.
So Jerry will be using the faced R38 in our step ceiling. We'll be doing the same process in our kitchen.
Attics need insulation to keep you warm, but they also need to breathe, so this is where the DuraVent comes in. This allows airflow to come from your soffits. Your soffits have holes in them that bring air into your attic, and this allows it to go through this passage and out into your attic. But we also need to have insulation. So this is where the insulation comes in. Our trusses are 24 inches on center. This will go over top of this, and I'll push this up into the vents because we have fiberglass blown-in insulation that will be going in. If we did not do this, there will be no barrier, and that fiberglass insulation would just go right into the soffits, fill it up, and then it won't breathe, and you'll have a lot of problems like moisture issues and other things. So this is our barrier, this is our snorkel. These two together create a good system for allowing your attic to breathe, but also keeping it warm.
These DuraVents have a seam running down the middle, so you can easily tear them and use one for each pocket on the ceiling.
For this portion right here, because there's a step-up ceiling, we think it's gonna be pretty hard for the blow-in to actually go through this gap. So we're gonna be using the R38 faced to be able to like close this gap with the DuraVent, and then it's gonna be butted up against the drywall here and here. You don't need to use face for this, but we'll be keeping on a face, especially since it's gonna have direct contact with the drywall, and it kind of just gives it a little bit more of a rigid feel, so it will keep its place, because drywall will be going right here and up here. This is the way we're gonna do it, just because we do think it will be kind of tricky to get that blown-in insulation in that gap.
When you blow it, you're just going to go right over that vertical member and just kind of touch on the blanket.
As Jerry was working in the master, Faris started in the living room, and then I went into the basement.
At this point, we're working overtime to make sure we get this done before the inspection.
But time to call it a night. We'll be back early in the morning. Day 4, 5, or 6, I can't remember. But Faris brought in the giant ladder. Whoops. Which is a tad sketchy.
I'll have to go higher next time.
Yeah, you have to get all the way. This is my grandpa's ladder. Pass it down, generation to generation. Now Faris is twerking.
Now I'm able to fill those angled cavities in, and I have a new challenge, angled pieces of insulation that I gotta fit in there. This is where I needed a little minion, because going up and down the ladder took me so much time.
It's not nearly as fun working on different floors, is it?
No, I need your help. I like your help.
I bet. While Faris worked upstairs, I continued to power away at this basement. I cannot tell you how happy I am to be done with this basement. This alone took me a few days, and goal accomplished.
After we finished up with all the exterior walls, it was time to finally staple those bats. All right, we got almost everything in place. Got the staple gun. I'm gonna go around, staple everything that I need to, and then finish up everything. And this is pretty much the last step. Make sure that we got everything that we need to before the inspection tomorrow. So there's different types of insulation. You can keep this in there with friction, and friction will hold this up, but we're gonna staple it in to make sure that it holds its place. There's these tabs on each side of the fiberglass. You're gonna want to go to the side right here. instead on the outside. If you go on the outside, then it will create a lump for your drywallers, and your drywallers, you know, won't be so happy. We finished just in time, and we got approved.
Woohoo!
So yeah, you're doing it right here, because you're not gonna be able to get to those to blow them in.
Yeah.
Plus, you'd fill the cavities of your baffles.
Yes.
So this is good, and you're doubling it. Wow.
Definitely a harder job than I anticipated.
Yeah.
That feels so good.
It doesn't feel that good. It
Oh.
wasn't my favorite job. It was the most uncomfortable job, and actually, it didn't seem like, it's not that pretty to look at.
It's probably not the most satisfying job
Rewarding.
visually,
Visually.
but I kind of disagree. I've learned a new skill, and now I can say I know how to insulate a house.
It's true.
Lisa the insulator. Overall, us putting in our own insulation saved us about $5,000 in labor. Next up, the drywall's going in, and then we'll also be blowing in our attic insulation. See you in the next one.